Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. Just want to share with you some of the top stories that we are following right now, starting with some new developments surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, which of course has really gripped our nation for the better part of the last 3 years. Well, the major headline today is that the White House is now allowing the COVID-19 public health emergency to expire. The White House had actually renewed that emergency declaration 13 times since the start of the pandemic. But when it expires at the end of today, President Biden is going to leave it be. He's not going to renew it for a 14th time. So what does this mean for the average person? Well, a lot of people have already moved on. The pandemic has kind of been in the rearview mirror for a lot of folks. But for some who rely on public assistance, several safety net aspects of the government emergency response are also coming to a close. We've seen extra food assistance go away. Now automatic re-enrollment in Medicaid will come to an end as well. What has not changed is that for now, you'll still be able to get COVID-19 vaccines at no cost, and you'll continue to have access to COVID-19 treatments. According to the Health and Human Services Department, COVID-19 deaths are down 95% since January 2021. CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta reminds us that at the end of last month, COVID-19 was still responsible for around 1,100 weekly deaths in the United States.
That's about 55,000 a year that would die if those numbers stayed the same, which is basically a really bad flu season. We could do better, but that's where we are right now.
And at the CDC, the end of the emergency declaration means that they're no longer going to post a national count of COVID-19 cases. Instead, they're going to be giving updates every 2 weeks instead of weekly at this point, given this new development. Also want to let you know that we continue following the latest involving the lawsuit against UGA. They're being sued for $40 million, all tied to the deadly crash that killed 2 people after the school's championship parade. Former UGA football star Devin Willock's father is suing to hold UGA and others liable for that crash, which killed his own son, and staff member Chandler LaCroix. The UGA Athletic Association and 3 football supervisors are also named in the suit. Now, normally under Georgia law, charitable institutions like the Athletic Association are protected from these kinds of lawsuits, but the lawyers who filed it say the 3 employees do not have immunity because they displayed misconduct in this case. Also, another major story that we're following, a national story, international story really, with some local implications. A pandemic-era policy that immigration officials say will lead to a major increase in the number of migrants trying to cross into the U.S. It's set to expire. So we're talking about Title 42. It's already led to a surge of migrants at the border with Mexico. Right now, thousands of migrants are lining up to cross over. But the government's making it clear that the border will not be open come midnight. Things will change. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary says that Title 42 will not be anymore, of course, but that means it's going to be replaced with Title 8, which means that migrants who cross the border without authorization have to prove that they're eligible asylum seekers, or else they could face some consequences. The Biden administration's new rules now require migrants to prove that they've applied for asylum online or through another country first, and anyone who violates this could face a 5-year ban from the U.S. and also a felony charge. Santiago Marquez is the CEO of the Latin American Association and says that those who come to Atlanta are trying to provide a better life for themselves and their loved ones. And last year, his organization helped nearly 700 families with their move to the metro. Let's listen.
All know they're going to need shelter. They're going to need some legal help, right? Somebody to look at their case and see if they do qualify for asylum.
The Latin American Association says it's holding an asylum information session on May 30th. We're told bilingual attorneys are going to be there for anyone who would like to attend. And by the way, in addition to helping those cross over, the Biden administration has also announced plans to set up 100 processing centers in Central and South America in hopes of shifting asylum seekers away from the border for kind of looking for processing to actually gain entry into our nation. Also, we're following the latest with Metro Atlanta's newest city, which is on the cusp of making history once again. Today, Mableton City Council will meet for the first time. Mayor-elect Michael Owens called for this transitional meeting, which is scheduled for 6:30 at Riverside Epicenter on Riverside Parkway. It's going to be open to the public if you're interested in attending. Such an important step in getting the city up and running, according to city leaders, with its newly elected leaders. And the swearing-in ceremony for Mayor-elect Owens is May 13th, so this is really early on in the process. Also, of course, we're keeping an eye on your forecast. We have meteorologist Rodney Harris with a look at that. Good morning, Rodney.
Good morning to you, Joy. I hope you're off to a good start to your Thursday.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm going to say hi to you, everybody. It's a good day. Got St. Jude in the house, which is, remember to go to our website to get your tickets. There's a limited number of them, and you can win a home in addition to a lot of other cool prizes while supporting kids. So it's been a really cool day for us here in the Atlanta News First newsroom. Also, of course, talking about your forecast because we do have some changes coming as we go into Mother's Day weekend. So let's get you to those current temperatures right now. We are in the low 70s, so our temperature forecast will basically be the same as it was yesterday. We're back into the low 80s later on this afternoon. So here is First Alert radar. I was tracking a couple of showers like way earlier this morning, but that stuff has completely dissipated. Ella and I have both been talking about the relatively drier air that's in place over North Georgia, which is kind of unusual for this time of year, but that's our situation. So we actually have the potential of an isolated shower or two later on today, but that's going to be like West Georgia. We don't think that's going to make it into Metro Atlanta because of the drier air. However, look at that. So like LaGrange, Carrollton, Rome, you do have the potential of an isolated shower or storm later on this afternoon. We do have a 20% chance of rain today, but again, we think that's going to be more west of Metro Atlanta. Otherwise, for everybody else, a partly cloudy afternoon with temperatures in the low 80s. So that's our setup. So this is kind of the drier air that actually moved in yesterday, and it was pushing a lot of our humid air further south and west, which is why that's where all the storms were. So what's happening as we go into Friday is that moisture is going to move back over Georgia, in addition to this little weak front. And because of that, our coverage of rain will be higher on Friday than what it will be today. So this is your forecast for Friday morning. Friday morning, you'll be fine as you're driving to work, but notice by Friday afternoon and evening, we are going to start to see some storms. Look at that popping up right over Metro Atlanta. So we do have a 60% chance of showers and storms in your forecast for Friday afternoon and evening. And as we said this morning on Atlanta News First, we know there's a lot going on Friday. First of all, it's just a Friday night, so we know you want to get out. We got some graduations happening. So just know that we are expecting showers and storms to pop up just about anywhere Friday afternoon and evening. And we're not forecasting organized severe weather, but this time of year we can't rule out an isolated strong storm or two. So that's 4 o'clock on Friday. By 7 o'clock, that activity is moving eastward over like UGA, where you will be graduating in Edenton. So it's going to be that type of an afternoon and evening for us in Metro Atlanta. That is a new first alert, by the way. We decided to first alert Friday afternoon and especially Friday evening because that will impact your plans. That's going to have an impact, so just a heads up to you. And we'll keep you up to date on that throughout the course of the day-to-day. So here is that 7-day forecast. Only a 20% chance of rain today. Friday, a 60% chance of storms in the afternoon and evening. You're likely to get wet at some point, so just kind of be prepared for that. 79 will be your high because we'll have the rain around, so it won't be quite as hot, but it will definitely be humid. And then over the weekend, Mother's Day weekend, the story's going to be about the heat. By Sunday, we are up to 90 degrees for Mother's Day, so it will be hot. And there is a chance of some pop-up storms each day on Saturday and Sunday. We're getting into this pattern where it's about to be summertime, so it's just hot and humid. And when you have heat and humidity by itself, you can get an isolated storm. You know that if you lived in the South. So that's what we'll have this weekend. We won't really have a focus mechanism for storms, but just because it'll be so hot and humid, we can't rule out some pop-up storms each day. And then Monday, we added another first alert because Monday we'll actually see another cool front that'll try to slide into North Georgia. And I'm saying cool front, they're not really cool fronts anymore. It's too late in the year for that, but they're fronts that'll be moving south. And so on Monday with that front around, our coverage of rain will probably increase a little bit more. So you probably will be impacted by rain on Monday as well. So those are our two first alerts for Friday afternoon and evening, particularly Friday evening if you have any plans, and for Monday, just know that rain could impact your plans. Otherwise, it's just hot and humid, and that's the way it'll stay. Not really worried about any rain in Metro Atlanta today, but again, a heads up in far west Georgia from LaGrange up to Carrollton and up to Rome. You could see a storm or two. We will certainly keep you up to date on this forecast. Just talk to Jen. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez is already working on your forecast for noon, and she'll have the latest update then. Until then, we hope that you all have an amazing day, and until next time, we'll see you soon.